Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're making a beaded sliding knot bracelet. This design has a square knot slider at the back so that you can adjust your bracelet bigger and smaller, and we've used square knots in between each of our 6mm beads. For our design today we're using 0.8mm polyester thread, and we need one 40cm length and two 80cm lengths. So just go ahead and cut them to size. Once we've got our 3 lengths of cord cut, then we're going to place the ends together and measure about 10 centimeters along from the ends. So holding on to that 10 centimeter mark and tying a simple overhand knot, bringing it around to form a loop and pulling the ends through the loop, pulling that tight onto that 10 centimeter mark. Now you want to find something to attach your bracelet onto while we do the weaving. So you can use a clipboard or attach it onto something with a clip. Now we lay our cords out so that we've got the shorter one in the middle and the longer ones, one on each side. So with that shorter one in the middle, we use these outer ones to tie our square knots. Starting by bringing the left side cord around across to the right, leaving a little loop there. Then the right side cord comes down over, under, and then up the loop on the left hand side. Pulling that cord all the way through, and then pulling that square knot up so that it sits tight at the top. Now for a square knot we alternate each stitch, and we're going to have 2 stitches in between each bead. So the second stitch we bring the right side cord around and across to the left, leaving a little loop there. Then the left side cord comes down over, under and up that loop on the right hand side. Pulling that knot nice and tight up to the top. So that's our full square knot, which will be the same in between each bead. Now we can start placing some beads onto this center one. It's up to you if you want to place more and have them just sitting down the bottom, but I'm going to just place one on at a time. So bringing that bead near the top, and now we just repeat our square knot. So left side cord around and across to the right, and right side cord comes down over and then underneath to come up that loop on the left hand side. Pulling that cord through and then pulling the stitch up tight towards the top. So just making sure that it catches that bead and that you're pulling that bead up as well. Now you should have half a square knot that keeps it in place. Now it's the right side stitch. So right side cord around and across to the left. Left side cord comes down over and underneath to come up that loop on the right hand side. Pulling that nice and tight, and that will lock that bead in place. Now we just repeat the same process for the whole bracelet. So placing another bead on and then repeating our square knot. So first stitch is the left side stitch, bring it around and across to the right. Right side cord comes down over and underneath to come up that loop on the left hand side. Making sure to catch that bead as we pull it tight towards the top. And then it's back to the right side stitch. The right side cord around and across to the left. Left side cord down, over and underneath to come up our loop on the right hand side. Pulling that square knot nice and tight, and you can see that pattern starting to form. So now we just continue on the same technique, placing a bead on and doing a square knot in between each bead with the left side stitch and then the right side stitch, pulling it nice and tight in between each bead. Now I normally bead down about the same distance as the wrist measurement. So my wrist measurement is about 16.5 centimeters. So that's generally how far I bead from the first bead to the last bead. Alright, so after beading down to your desired length of beads, see mine is about 16 centimeters there. I've realised now watching this back as well, I should have put another square knot on the end here before. I tied a simple overhand knot on the end as well, pulling that tight to secure those beads in place. But as you can see, I did forget to do my extra square knot, and it's not really that noticeable. Once that overhand knot's pulled nice and tight, then we can take our bracelet off the clip. And we're going to do a few more square knots to make the sliding mechanism for our bracelet. So laying our bracelet down and sort of placing it into the bracelet shape with our cords overlapping on the right side here. Now for our square knot slider, we need another length of 40 centimeters, and we start by placing it underneath where the cords overlap. Now it's back to your square knots. So left side cord around across to the right, leaving that little loop there on the left. Then the right side cord comes down over and then underneath to come up that loop on the left hand side. Pulling that nice and tight. Then it's back to the right side stitch. So right side cord around across to the left. Left side cord comes down over and then underneath to come up that loop on the right hand side. Pulling that nice and tight, and we continue to alternate these stitches until you've got a nice little square knot slider there. But it's up to you how many stitches you do. This is about 8 stitches, so if you do want a longer sliding knot, just do a few more if you've got enough cord. But if you're happy with it, then you can cut these cords off the side of your knot, and we're going to cinch them with a lighter so it doesn't undo and fray. Holding everything out of the way so that you can gently melt and fuse that end on. You don't want to melt it too much because you need this sliding knot to slide. Now you can check your sliding mechanism, make sure it's sliding okay, and pull that bracelet into position. Now this is optional, but I like to place a bead onto each tail so that your bracelet's easy to do up. Whatever size beads you use, they have to have a hole big enough to fit all the threads inside. So I've just got these silver ones, and I'm going to make sure all of the threads get inside the beads there. Once your beads are on, you can tie a simple overhand knot on each tail, making sure to pull them down nice and even. And you should probably check the sizing of your bracelet before you cut the ends off. Once you're happy with it, then you can cut the tails off just outside the knots and cinch them with a lighter so they don't fray.